Every day. A bit extreme, some might say, but dig. Whose name's on the trophy? Putting each to the test, he extracted their best. Lombardi would often say, without jest, there are three things in life.
God,
your family,
and the Green Bay Packers.
Not necessarily in that order.
He'd intimidate, exacerbate, infuriate, yet to this day his players speak of love when invoking his name. When Vince left the pack, they were never the same. Then Brett Favre made the scene. From his gifted right arm flew a possessed magic bean. A throwback in the mold of Bobby Lane. His metal shone through on this treacherous plane. Yeah, he could have played for Vince. And suddenly everything new is trying to be old again. People in the streets are starting to dream again. It'll never be the same, but Titletown may soon once again live up to its name.
I'm Mike Patrick along with Joe Theismann and Mark Malone. Welcome to Sold Out St. Louis for the NFL on ESPN. Brett Favre and the Pack began the season on a torrid pace and seemed ready to fulfill the promise of a Super Bowl season. But injuries to his top three receivers has hurt the offense, and Green Bay has now lost 2 in a row. This week, the Pack went looking for help and picked up former Pro Bowl receiver turned castoff Andre Rison. And they hope that Rison will provide a legitimate big play threat. And tonight, Joe, he's expected to play 20 to 25 snaps.
You know, Michael, here in St. Louis, the Rams are in the midst of what might consider a youth movement, especially on offense. It's a talented group at the skill positions and features a couple of rising stars. Wide receiver Isaac Bruce has emerged as one of the most dangerous threats in the league. And rookie quarterback Tony Banks has all the tools to get him the ball. But in order for these two to be effective, the Rams must run the football and slow down that Packer rush, Mike. I mean, if they don't, Tony Banks is going to get the first of many introductions from the great Reggie White.
All right, Joe. Mike Holmgren has done a superb job in Green Bay. A win tonight puts him one step closer to a second straight division crown. Rich Brooks began his Ram career by winning 5 of his first 6 games, but since then he's won just 5 of the last 16. And a reminder, Mark Malone will be with us throughout the night looking at key matchups and trends in his Spotlight segments. Green Bay has won the toss, and they have chosen to receive. And Chip Lohmiller has it teed up. He'll kick to Travis Jervey. And Desmond Howard, who has resurrected his career as a return man, the former #1 draft choice, Howard, number 81. Jervey has to chase it to the sideline at the 15, and Travis Jervey fights his way across the 30 to about the 33-yard line. Packers offense run by Brett Favre having another MVP season as the NFL's top-rated quarterback and leader in touchdown passes. Edgar Bennett in the running game become more critical with all the injured receivers. Bennett 9th in the NFC. Up front with Ken Rutger's retirement, rookie John Michaels will have to learn as the starter at left tackle. Bennett the single setback. Favre changing the play. Comes the blitz and Favre rolls away from pressure. Throws incomplete at midfield. Pfeiffer covering the tight end Jeff Thomason. For the Rams defensively, Kevin Carter, the second-year lineman, has given them a lift with an improved pass rush and 6.5 sacks. Roman Pfeiffer leads the club in tackles. He's had 10 or more stops for St. Louis in 6 games this year. And free safety Keith Lyle tied for the conference lead with 5 interceptions, a career high, and he's 3rd on the club in tackles. Andre Rison in for the first time. So is William Henderson. Favre throwing for Rison, and it's knocked away by Todd Light Joe, they tried to get it to him early.
And I think that's what Brett has to do. I mean, you've got to get him incorporated into the game. You realize that he is the asset you want. They bring him in motion, which I'm a little bit surprised with, but Light does a nice job of staying close to him. I would look for them to set up now. If Todd Light wants to play Andre Rison that close, don't be surprised if an out and up isn't in the future for both of them.
2 incompletions for Favre, so he'll face 3rd and 10 from his own 32. Rison now goes to the far side. Beebe in the slot. Here comes the blitz. Favre buys time, throws incomplete. And then Parker levels Beebe. He was lucky to get away with that one without a flag.
And the Rams were lucky that Brett Favre threw that incomplete because, like he told us yesterday, Mike, he feels most comfortable after he breaks contain of the pocket. We saw him be very effective against Dallas in a limited capacity, but very effective against San Francisco.
Craig Hentrick, who's having a good year, had a very poor game against Dallas. He's back to punt. The Rams are without Eddie Kennison. The NFL's leader, Herman O'Berry, is waiting at the 20. Hentrick hangs this one. O'Berry at the 28. And down at the 30-yard line. The Rams on offense, quarterbacked by rookie Tony Banks. The starter since the 4th game. He is very mobile with a great arm. Isaac Bruce is putting up Jerry Rice-like numbers after almost 1,800 yards last year. He comes into the weekend 2nd in the NFL in receiving yards this season. Zach Wiegert, a rising star on the offensive line that has had major problems because of injuries last year. He is still basically a rookie. So the Packers go 3 and out. The Rams get a chance to work the football. Lawrence Phillips not starting tonight because of the knee. Harold Green is in there. Banks unloads on 1st down. Almost intercepted by Craig Newsome. He was covering J.T. Thomas, who is the starting wide receiver in place of Kennison. Green Bay's defense features the NFL's all-time sack leader, Reggie White. With only 5 this year, he's well below his career average of 14. George Kuntz and the entire defense has benefited from his move to middle linebacker. He leads the team with 67 tackles. And Leroy Butler, the complete safety, run support and coverage. He leads the team with 5 picks. That's tied for 1st in the NFC. There's Sean Jones, who's had a nagging ankle injury. Mike Holmgren said he's also been ineffective and he will not play tonight. Try to go on the ground to Green, who had his best year with the Cincinnati Bengals, and he gets a couple before Gabe Wilkins, who is starting in place of Sean Jones, makes the tackle.
Fritz Shermer, the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, is very creative. He was the grandfather, I guess you'd say, of the 2-5. He brought that in.
How about the father?
Well, the father of it. Okay, I mean, you know, he looks very stately. 3-4 last week against Dallas. He tried.
Packers defense superb on 3rd down. Banks straight back, 4-man rush. Good protection, and he throws incomplete off the hands of the intended receiver, Alexander Wright, who's coming back for the first time this year.
That's just a question of a quarterback not knowing a receiver and vice versa. Alexander Wright has not had a lot of time to work with Tony in practice. As you mentioned, Alexander just coming back. So that's just a coordination that they're going to have to work out.
One of the NFL's best all-time punters, Sean Landeta, number 8 in career average, having a sensational year this year at 45 a kick. And that is Desmond Howard, who was 5th in the conference. Landeta just kills one. Howard all the way back inside the 15. Got a great block at the corner. Roman Pfeiffer on special teams threw a wicked block. Corliss Deck. Eugene Robinson down on the tackle. No score early. Back in a moment.
ESPN Sunday Night NFL is brought to you by Gateway 2000. Personalized computers ship factory direct. By Quality Inns, Hotels, and Suites. They're good for business. And by Honda. Vehicles designed to help simplify your life.
0-0. Early first quarter in St. Louis. The first running play for the Packers and Edgar Bennett would wish it wasn't. He lost 2.
Well, the Rams on defense trying to be aggressive, and that's what they're going to have to be conscious of if they want to go after Brett Favre. Mike, I think there's a certain way that you can attack this particular offense. Willie Shaw right there in the middle, the defensive coordinator of the Rams, has a specific way that he likes to go after him.
Rison has checked in. He'll split to the top of your screen on 2nd and 13. Rams blitz again. Favre unloads, tries for Rison. Anthony Parker with tremendous coverage.
Talking about the way that Willie Shaw wants to go after Brett Favre, you have to keep him in the pocket. You'll see the ends. What they're going to try and do is they're going to try and work up the field to the depth of the quarterback and contain him. And then you want to get the pocket pushed up the middle. Now, the thing you have to be careful of is you can't let him escape in these directions to get out and make plays. That's what that rush has to do. But that is the best way to disrupt the timing and rhythm of a quarterback in this short set offense.
The Rams early have been extremely aggressive on defense. Four-man rush. Rison with his first catch is a Green Bay Packer, but that is going to be well short of a first down.
But Mike, it's important for Andre to get in and catch a ball. He's got to be feeling some jitters. New team, new situation. Brett Favre certainly has a lot of confidence in him. As Brett told us yesterday, he worked a fair amount with Andre when they were in Atlanta together, so it's not an unfamiliar situation for him.
That's O'Berry. Hendrick end over end returnable. And O'Berry just tripped up. Lamont Hollandquist down, got him by the ankle on special teams. No score, first quarter. Brian Williams and George Kuntz waiting for him there. Green, who had a Pro Bowl year in '92 in Cincinnati. Lawrence Phillips slowed by the bad knee, not getting the start, but is expected to play tonight and seems to be just hitting his stride with this offense. As soon as they got him in the draft, Jerome Bettis became expendable as they decided to go with more speed in the backfield. Green again. It's a soft spot in the middle and should have the first down near the 40. Wayne Simmons.
Mike, what Jack Riley, the offensive coordinator of the Rams, explained to me is he said, we have to try and run the football at least to gain some kind of confidence for 2 reasons. Number one, that's Jack right there. We can keep that Green Bay offense on the sidelines, and secondly, it just gives our guys a little more confidence and takes pressure off of Tony Banks.
The Rams well served to run because they're 18th in the league in rushing, 30th in the league in passing. Green again, not this time. Hit at the line of scrimmage. First man, Santana Dotson, got him around the ankles. And speaking of acquisitions, Santana Dotson picked up from Tampa Bay. He has really helped anchor the run defense inside. And
that was the one area that everybody questioned about his ability. We know how good a pass rusher he was in Tampa. And Reggie White explained to us they thought that he really wasn't a good run stopper. But that hasn't been the case since the beginning of training camp.
Coaching staff very pleased with his play. 2nd and 10. Play action by Banks. They'll whistle the play dead. That's Lang, who was in there as the fullback because of injuries to Moore and Harris.
Before the snap, false start on the offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
That's Zach Wiegert, the big second-year guy out of Nebraska.
Yeah, and we can cut Zach a little slack tonight because the guy lined up across from him is a guy by the name of Reggie White. So what Zach's trying to do is get a little bit of an edge, trying to beat that snap count out so that he can protect Tony's backside.
It's not like, Joe, this is something they haven't seen before. No. They lead the NFL in false starts. 2nd and 15. Banks under pressure, unloads, incomplete. Isaac Bruce was the closest man to it, but about 5 yards away, and it was Wayne Simmons who was coming hard at the rookie. When you got a young quarterback, you don't want to let him feel comfortable
And that's what Simmons is doing. Number 59. He makes the move inside, runs right over Harold Green. Harold Green just got caught going backwards. He's going to have to do a better job of giving Tony a little bit of room to step forward in.
You remember Wayne Simmons from the playoffs last year. 16 tackles in that game against the 49ers. 3rd and 15 now for Banks. Complete to Isaac Bruce in Packer territory, first down. Eugene Robinson made the tackle, but it's a gain of 18 to the sensational Isaac Bruce.
Not only does Isaac Bruce have unbelievable acceleration in and out, but Tony Banks does a nice job of rolling out of the pocket. Now Conwell, number 84, he sees the outside rusher. He just gets a hand on him. Evans gets pushed outside. Now you got to respect Bruce's speed. So they take off, and all of a sudden he stops, slams on the brakes, and Tyrone Williams just can't get back to him.
Well, he turned him around. First down, Rams. 9:35 to go, scoreless first quarter. Green cuts through a seam and down to the Packer 44-yard line. Reggie White had him from behind.
Zach Wiegert, in all honesty, Mike, has to play the game of his young life. Here he is going to block Reggie on the run. Now, Reggie bull rushes him, has good leverage. Although Reggie makes the play, it's 4 yards downfield. That's pretty darn good for the right tackle.
Green off left guard. Kuntz gets some help, but Green is very close at first down inside the Packer 38.
I'm impressed with the job that this offensive line of the Rams are doing against a good-sized, fairly quick defensive line of the Green Bay Packers.
Last 3 games they have been hurt on the ground. They are now 9th overall against the rush, but overall they are 2nd in the league in the NFL in defense.
Yeah, but Mike, now is when you really have to stop the run, because weather conditions in the games that you're going to play are going to make teams run the football more. So this has got to be an area of concern for Holmgren and Fritz Shermer.
Lang and Conwell are both in there with the spot. It's 3rd and a yard. We'll take a timeout with Tony Banks. No score, first quarter. First quarter, Packers and the Rams scoreless in St. Louis. The rap on this city was that it was a baseball town, and strictly that, when Bill Bidwell took the Cardinals to Arizona. But these fans have really stepped up to get a football team back in this city. 66,000 people here in the Dome, their 15th consecutive sellout. They'll go wide on 3rd and short. Green, nowhere to go, swarmed by the Packers.
Well,
Kuntz, Williams, Butler, you name it, they were there.
I got to tell you something. I give less credit to the Green Bay Packers on defense than I do for the call. I don't like the call at all. And you've got it. You've been pounding it straight ahead. Look at this. You're trying to go outside. Look at Bettler come up inside. I mean, there's too many people around the line of scrimmage. You've got to put a big body on a big body and go make a play. I think that you got to give as much discredit to the call as you do the credit to the Packers on defense.
Landetta will now try to pooch one to Pryor and Howard. And does beautifully. Fair catch made at the 10. 37-yard punt, no return. Hope you check out ABC Sports next Saturday, 3:30 Eastern, for the Skins game and the sensational Tiger Woods. We'll tee it off with John Daly, Fred Couples, and Tom Watson in what promises to be a great afternoon of golf. Don't miss the Skins game next Saturday, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. How would you like to have the future of Tiger Woods? I wouldn't even mind having his past.
I was just going to say. I'll tell you, you know something? I think the emergence of Tiger Woods can do nothing but help John Daly now. Because John used to be the biggest hitter out there. He's not anymore.
Bennett and Henderson the backs for Favre. Henderson on the toss, cuts it back, and goes across the 15 to about the 16.
Mike, when you see William Henderson carry the football, he's only carried the football 29 times this year. You know that's just something to set up a little bit of rhythm and to take a little bit of heat off of Brett Favre. Mike Holmgren, by nature, really doesn't like to run the football a lot. He loves to put the ball up in the air, and I would expect to see more throws out of this offense, especially even if it's backed up, than I would runs.
Andre Rison checks into the game. So does Dorsey Levens, number 25. Favre wants the screen to Levens. What a job by Roman Pfeiffer. He got by 2 blockers to make the tackle. Here's a guy who was an every down linebacker and developed into a great player.
And not only that, he got some help from Leslie O'Neal, who played off the block and went out and made the play as well. Watch to the left of your screen. Brett sets up, does a good job of bringing the defense in. Now Leslie in pursuit, and Roman closing on him hard.
Roman Pfeiffer, whose middle name is Zabinski. His dad picked it out of a phone book. Thanks, Pop.
Could have started in the front.
Third and 7. Pass complete to the 26. That will be a first down. Don Beebe with the catch. And Beebe has been a godsend at wide receiver with all the injuries for this club.
You can describe that play 2 ways. A Beebe was thrown and a Beebe caught it, because Brett Favre just set and fired. Good job by John Michaels, number 77, on Leslie O'Neal. And, of course, a little bit of help from your friend, Dorsey Levens, over chipping. Watch this thing come in. Wow. You know, the receivers of the Packers catch the ball to protect themselves as much as anything.
Henderson and Bennett back in. Bennett goes to a wing. Favre to Mickens. And Mickens will get about 8 yards before he's driven out near the 35-yard line. Todd Light over there.
Mike, when you talk about the maturity of Brett Favre, this particular pass play is indicative of it. He was looking left all the way. Didn't even look at Mickens till the last minute. Then he pans all the way back and throws to the right. Look where he's looking. He's looking left, looking left, looking left. I don't have it. Let me go over here. Now, that is called surveying the entire field and knowing where all your players are.
Mickens, third-year man out of Florida A&M, trying to fill in because of all the injuries. Bennett will get a carry and hit at the line of scrimmage. Right there, Robert Jones, the former Dallas Cowboy who now prowls the middle for St. Louis.
Robert Jones was really... The Cowboys sort of let him go on because they felt that he wasn't a good plugger, as we saw in that play he did. He felt he was a better sideline-to-sideline runner, which Dallas is very good at. They went and got Fred Strickland to be a more up-the-middle kind of guy. Robert sort of disproved that theory right there.
Third and a yard. The Packers tremendous in this situation. Third in the NFL. Henderson, the fullback. Well, they might be fourth after that play. Roman Pfeiffer led the charge, and the Rams defense has come out tonight in front of 66,000 at home, pumped up.
But you know what really makes it? DeMarco Farr, 75, and Kevin Carter. Watch number 75. He stuffs it right there. Carter on the outside. They don't give the runner anywhere to go. Henderson has nowhere to go inside. And they let him go out to the feeders who eat him up.
Hentrick to kick to O'Berry. Gets off the beauty this time. There is the marker down on the play, and so is O'Berry as he's swarmed under down at the 12. Lamont Hollenquist led the charge again. 54-yard punt, only a 4-yard return. Now we'll check the marker.
They're going to call holding on Robert Jones, number 55.
See if it's a post-possession foul. If it is, they'll probably decline it.
Holding on the receiving team, number 55. It was during the kick. The foul will be missed after the kick. First down.
So the Rams keep the football, and Roman Pfeiffer and his teammates have done a superb job. Nothing late first quarter. Packers and the Rams in St. Louis. Rich Brooks in his second year after 18 at Oregon. A lot of rumors going around that this may be his last year. And I don't see how you bring in someone with all the losses the Rams have incurred in the 90s and say, you've got 2 years to turn this thing around. That's impossible.
And when half your offense are rookies, I think it's an awful big load. And Eddie Kinnison isn't even on the field for him.
Rams will start from their own 6. Draw to Green. Nice hole for Harold Green. Across the 20 to the 21-yard line. Brian Williams got him by the ankle, or it could have been a lot more.
And it's a good job on that right side by Zach Wiegert. And Ernie Conwell, number 84, the rookie. Now Reggie split outside. He sets up and just takes Reggie basically where he wants to go. And Aaron Lang does a good job at fullback, making the block on Wayne Simmons. And Tony Banks has just got to be careful protecting the ball down in this part of the football field. Has had a propensity to put it on the ground.
Banks out to Lang. Gets away from a shoulder tackle. Doug Evans didn't even try to wrap him up, just threw a shoulder at him, and Lang brushed him off and went downfield.
Mike, the Rams lose a little bit with their fullbacks being out, Moore and Harris, and having Lang play that position from a blocking standpoint. But I think where they gain a little bit is in the receiving elements of it, because he is a converted tight end, or he is actually a tight end, who's having to play fullback for him.
And he was recruited as a quarterback in college, so he's very athletic. Green. Stacked up by the middle of the line this time. Santana, Dotson, and Gilbert Brown.
Now, Brett Favre is looking at the pictures, and what he's looking at, the still shot, he's looking for pre-reads. He wants to see where the defensive players are lined up, and is really looking now at the line to say, okay, if I have to check to any runs, where do I want to go? He wants to see if he's getting any unusual looks or if it's what they've talked about all week.
He's getting a lot of aggressiveness, to tell you that much, and Andre Rison is his new target. Banks on a little half roll to Conwell. Not much there. He's wrapped up quickly by Eugene Robinson, now a vocal leader of this defense.
See, one of the things that the Rams really like about Tony Banks is his intelligence. He's a smart kid. And what I mean by that is when he makes a mistake, Mike, they point it out to him on film, and he doesn't go back and repeat it. And I think that's very important at the quarterback position. If you continue to make mistakes, there's no growth or progress. But if you're like Tony, you make a mistake, you look at it and say, yeah, I don't want to do that again. And he's been very good in that area.
And he only had 2 years of major college football at Michigan State after junior college. Banks with good protection and throws just incomplete. J.T. Thomas had a hand on it, couldn't hold it in front of Tyrone Williams.
Reggie White will always draw attention. Zach Wiegert has the biggest part of him, but Harold Green wants to know where Reggie is too. If Reggie's going to go outside, there's going to be people chipping on him all day.
Landetta to punt to Desmond Howard. This has become a field position game with only 29 seconds left to go in the first quarter.
And that was a good job by the Rams offense, getting a couple of first downs to give Landetta some room to punt.
Low snap, but he fields it. Gets off another rocket, and they'll let it go. Takes the big bounce and goes into the end zone. 62 yards on the punt from Landetta. Prime Monday tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Mike Tirico, Joe Theismann, and Sterling Sharp preview the Monday night game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miami Dolphins. We'll have live reports from the field, Chris Mortensen, all the latest NFL news, and we'll go backstage with Steeler running back Jerome Bettis tomorrow night on Prime Monday. Tony Banks, you just watch him throw the ball and you have to be impressed.
I like a lot of things about him. He's been a better pro than what I saw him on in film in college. But Mike, what I've noticed of the Green Bay Packers in this first quarter is this is a team that played an emotional football game last week, and they look tired. On defense in particular, they don't have a lot of crispness in the defensive line trying to put pressure on Banks.
Mays and Howard, the wide receivers this time. Play action by Favre. He wants the screen to Jackson. And Jackson bangs his way up to the 24-yard line. Carlos Jenkins in on the tackle. We have played 15 minutes of football in St. Louis, the Packers and the Rams, and we are scoreless. Back to the Dome after this.
St. Louis, the Packer passing game in our Packard Bell Spotlight. They brought Andre Rison in here to force teams to play off and get back to the timing passing game. And look so far, as Andre Rison goes into his break, Favre is not ready to throw the football. The ball is laid on the throw and thrown behind. The defensive back makes the play. And so far, Andre Rison has done well, but he is so fast the timing isn't down between he and Favre. Look at these numbers so far. 3 of 7. Under 3 seconds, 20 yards, 1 pressure. Now, all those passes under 3 seconds, but again, Favre and Rison just don't have the timing down yet, Mike.
All right, Mark, thank you. And that'll take a while, but they believe in Andre Rison. And they'll whistle this play dead. Looked like early movement on Green Bay.
Before the snap, there was a false start on the offense, number 80, 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
Derek Mays, the rookie receiver.
See, that is inexcusable in my opinion. If you're a wide receiver, there's no reason for you to be offside. You can't hear Brett anyway. This is a very loud stadium. You can't hear him. All you have to do is look at the football. I don't know where he thinks he's going. I've never understood that. Even when our guys did it. I say, hey, you can't hear me. Stay where you are.
2nd and 11. Bennett. Roman Pfeiffer is there again, the first man on the hit.
Mike, that didn't look like much by Roman Pfeiffer. It looks like he was just in a little bit of a wrestling match. But that was a terrific job of playing the block off because the Rams decided they were going to blitz that time. And when they did, here comes Roman right here. They got a blitz coming. He does a good job of playing off that block and making the play. Here come the inside backers. Does a good job on John Michaels and makes the tackle.
Roman Pfeiffer's had a huge first half already. Rison is in the slot to the top of your screen. Far flanker screen to Rison. Across to the 26-yard line, but short of a first down. Even though he hasn't made the big play yet, without Brooks, without Freeman, without Shimura, you just know that Brett Favre is thrilled to have that guy here.
And he has to be because Andre does have that ability. A lot of things have been said about him off the field and away from the game, but I'll tell you something. Inside those white lines, he's as good a receiver as there is in this game. And I mean, I'm including Jerry Rice in it as well.
And this may be his last shot. Hendrick to punt to O'Berry. High floater. O'Berry muffs it. Now let's see who will win the battle. How many times will that ball change hands before the official can get to it?
At least twice for sure. O'Berry had it, then lost it. And I'll tell you something, if they're taking their time and the Rams wind up with this, he's lucky as heck other people piled on him.
We still haven't seen the football. And it is Rams football. Remember, Eddie Kennison, who leads the league in punt returns, out with an injury tonight. The Rams get a break. They maintain possession. And O'Berry just couldn't handle it and then had to fight for it under that pile.
ESPN Sunday Night NFL is brought to you by Levi's Wide Leg Jeans. It's wide open by Office Depot, taking care of business for companies of every size, everywhere, every day. And by the Braun Flex Integral, for Braun's closest shave yet.
Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, Mark Malone, our entire ESPN crew back with you. We are in St. Louis tonight. 13:22 to go first half. No score. Packers and Rams. And after a break, recovering the muffed fumble, the Rams take over at their own 27. Green Harold Green running very, very hard out to the 37-yard line. Eugene Robinson had to come up from the corner to make the tackle. Green, 10 carries, 39 yards. We have yet to see Lawrence Phillips.
Dwayne White, number 67, does a nice job on Santana Dotson, number 71. See how he turns him inside? Plus, they're running towards Reggie White's side, Mike. They know Reggie wants to come up the field, so there's a natural hole created.
He's taking that outside charge. They're just letting him go that way. Green again. Nice cutback by Harold Green. Reggie White makes the tackle this time, but he's up to the 40 for a first down.
And I like that call by Jack Riley also. A lot of times the natural tendency is on second and short, I've got what's called a quote-unquote waste down. There are no such things as waste downs in this business. You go get the first down when you're in a close game like that. That was a call that was really dictated by the tempo of this football game.
Phillips with a bruised left knee, a bruised shoulder. 11th in the NFC in rushing, has yet to play in this game. Banks unloads, has his tight end Aaron Lang out of New Mexico State.
I love little things. And the little thing I saw out of Tony Banks that time was he just took a little bit off that ball. I mean, I really like this young quarterback. He does a nice job of setting. He knows he's going to go underneath, and he just takes a little bit off and turns it into pitch and catch. Watch the ball coming out here. He's looking down the field. He's looking down the field. I'm going to take just a little off. Make it real easy for Aaron. You go get it done for me.
Steve Walsh was the starter at the beginning of the season. After 3 games, he had played very poorly, and Tony Banks got the job. Here comes the end around. J.T. Thomas. Boy, the Packers with that discipline on defense just didn't buy it.
Craig Newsome was not going to be fooled. Number 21 comes up and makes the play as well as Eugene Robinson, number 41.
This is a superb defensive unit. They have some great players.
You know, we talk about teams that are really good at the point of attack sometimes, that are big and strong, and others that run well, like, say, Dallas or San Francisco. Green Bay is big enough up front to play both, and they have their linebackers and their secondary are very good support people. Tough to figure out ways to run on them.
3rd and 2. And Banks wants a timeout. Play clock was down to 4. 10:50 to go in the half. The Rams will talk it over, and we'll be back in a scoreless game. The second quarter in St. Louis, where the Packers and the Rams are scoreless. If you just joined us, we talked about the need for Green Bay to throw the ball well. Favre, 6 out of 10, only for 37 yards so far. And the fact that the Rams had to run the football. Well, with Harold Green, they have 12 carries, 42 yards.
And the fact that they've run the ball 12 times in itself is a positive sign.
3rd down. Here comes the blitz. Banks hangs in there, throws low, nearly intercepted. Off the knee of Conwell and nearly picked off by Darius Holland.
That was going to be just a little dump with a lot of people picking inside. Winds up being down low. Look to your left. See, what happens is Conwell, he loses sight of Banks when he hits the ground. Can't get up, find the quarterback, and make the play. And Darius Holland almost had one going the other way.
And here's Sean Landeta to kick to Pryor and Howard. Desmond Howard, 5th in the conference, averaging 11 yards a return coming into this game. Boy, another beauty by Landeta. Howard signals fair catch, lets it go, and into the end zone.
Oh, that was good.
53-yard punt. Landeta kicking the daylights out of him. Daughter rivalry there between the Rams and the Packers. Green Bay with its 5th possession. They have yet to cross their own 35-yard line. The Rams defense has done a sensational job.
Brett Favre he told me yesterday, he said, you know, in a way I feel like I'm pressing. I mean, the wide receiver production is down dramatically. he feels like he has to carry the weight of this football team on his shoulders. And Mike Holmgren is really just trying to say, listen, just take what they give you. Don't try and press it.
2nd and 6. Favre under pressure, dumps it to Henderson. Nice move, but Pfeiffer still got him at the 25-yard line.
Like when you take a look at the first 7 games, you see how the production of the wide receivers was. I mean, 57% of the balls went to the wide receivers. The running backs 25, tight end 19. Now look at 15% drop, all the way down to 42% in games 8 through 11. I mean, that is, and really, this offense is designed to get the ball to the wide receivers.
And Brooks and Freeman, 2 big weapons that they don't have now. Freeman could be back next week. Favre on 3rd and 5 tried to get it to Beebe. He was covered well by Walker. And Leslie O'Neal applying the pressure on Brett Favre. Once again for the Packers, 3 and out.
You know what I've also noticed, Mike, is they aren't even trying to go down the field. I don't think that Brett Favre has thrown a ball over 12 yards. The first pass of the game to Andre Rison was a 12-yard out. I haven't seen him try and go, just line up somebody and run him down the field. Don Beebe's very fast. They're not forcing the Rams to play defense.
Hendrick, who has had a great first half, gets off another boomer. Herman O'Berry back to the 23 and across the 30. The NFL's best pregame show, NFL Countdown, every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. as Chris Berman and the gang preview all the action. Then at 7 o'clock, it is prime time, where you'll see all the highlights of all the day's games. And at 8 o'clock, we'll be in San Diego as Drew Bledsoe and the Patriots take on the Chargers. Oh, what a great day for the Chargers and Stan Humphries.
Boy.
No, I've never seen a better quarterback than he was in the first half.
You know,
tremendous.
They said there were 30-mile-an-hour winds in Kansas City. You wouldn't have known it by the way he was throwing the football. It looked like he was in a dome.
Just tremendous.
A Kohl's dome, I might add.
Yeah. The Rams defense has done the job. Let's see if the offense can produce anything. Green on the delay. I think the Packers have seen enough of that play to figure it out.
Yeah, and Fritz Shurmur is such a good coach that he's going to make the adjustments necessary. What he wants to do is he's going to give him some substitutions as far as personnel goes. What you do is you take one of the defensive linemen out, you bring in a linebacker, you play some type of a configuration of a 3-4, which gives you another linebacker in coverage. I mean, he is so good and so imaginative in what he does.
He said the game's changed, you have to change with it, and he's done it over the years. Here comes the blitz. Banks rolls away from trouble, gets it to the ever-dangerous Isaac Bruce. He is covered by Brian Williams. Isaac Bruce came out of Memphis State as a second-round draft choice. This team is 30th in the league in passing, and yet he is approaching 1,000 yards as an individual. He is just an incomparable talent.
47% of the team's total. He is truly a one-man gang.
4 100-yard games this year, 13 in his short career. 3rd and 4 for the Rams. Banks, shovel pass. Green, midfield, first down. Eugene Robinson with a tackle, but a gain of 16, and Green having a big night.
But Reggie White had to respect that. You know why? And this is a great call by Jack Riley, the offensive coordinator. The play before that, they run a sprint out right at Reggie. Then they come back with this shovel pass. See, Reggie figures, and Santana says, hey, look, he's trying to do it again. It's 3rd and 5. They're going to try and hit Isaac. No, they're not. They're going inside to Harold. Harold finds up picking the first down up.
Lawrence Phillips into the ball game for the first time, the rookie from Nebraska. And he'll get the carry. Runs right into Darius Holland and is shoved back. And some players exchanging words after they hit.
Lawrence Phillips has got to learn to be more patient when he hits the line of scrimmage. In college, Mike, when he broke through the line, there weren't many linebackers or defensive backs that could really contain him. But at this level, he has to learn that once he gets through the point of attack, through the line of scrimmage, he's got to lower his shoulder because he's not going to break the big runs, which has really been the disappointment as far as the Rams are concerned.
Phillips got 2. Green is back in there. That one's batted down at the line of scrimmage. It looked like Gabe Wilkins got a hand up to knock it down. He and Santana Dotson were both in the vicinity.
We saw Santana Dotson get blocked by Dwayne White before going outside. Now he's going to go hard inside and just keep pushing the pocket back, and then does the right thing. If you can't go any further, if Bostic has you blocked or Bostic has you blocked, just jump up and knock it down.
6.5 sacks for Santana Dotson. In 92, he had 10 for the Buccaneers. 3rd and 9. Pressure on Banks, hangs in the pocket, and Isaac Bruce makes the catch at the sideline. Beautiful throw, beautiful grab.
Those aren't boos, folks. That's boos. You can hear those in Buffalo. You can hear them all the way here in St. Louis.
Gain of 16 for Isaac Bruce.
Comes in motion. That makes it hard for somebody to press you. Now push it up the field and take it out. Greg Newsome's just trying to stay with him. He goes up and makes the play. There's the other half of that youngster we talked about. You know, Mike, we talked about this in the open. These are just 2 parts of it. Eddie Kennison isn't even dressed tonight, which makes the offense even more dynamic.
1st and 10 Rams. Now Green and Phillips in there together. Banks threw for Green, who came out of the backfield. Excellent coverage by Craig Newsome. And Banks comes up a little gimpy, holding that left hamstring. When people said, well, you can't win with a rookie quarterback, he had a great response. He said, I didn't see it anywhere in my contract. That's Jamie Martin, his backup, as Walsh has been relegated to the 3rd quarterback.
He takes a big shot here. Coming in from the right side, Darius Holland, number 90, has him and puts him down.
2nd and 10. Phillips, big hole off the right side. Down to the 24-yard line. George Kuntz tripped him up, but not until he gained 9 yards. And that's what they wanted, was the speed of Phillips.
Shannon Clavel, number 91, is the guy they're running at. Zach Wiegert, number 72. Number 67, Dwayne White. They just bury him. He tries to split it, but by the time he does, Phillips is through the hole. And that's why they drafted Lawrence Phillips, because of his speed.
And Newsome was kneed on that tackle. He is the injured Green Bay Packer. And in obvious pain.
Number 21, take a look at the right side of your screen. Watch his knee. See his right knee get bent back a little bit? And he winds up on top of the pile. With these turfs, especially inside, they're so gripping.
5:25 to go first half. We are still scoreless in St. Louis. Inside the Numbers, presented by Visa. Tonight's topic, most touchdown passes in a 35-game span. Number 3, why A. Tittle, 81 in his best 35 games as a Giant. Up next, Dan Marino. He fired 88 touchdown strikes, second only to Brett Favre with 89 touchdown passes in his last 35 games. And Brett Favre has certainly put up some marvelous numbers right now. He is watching his counterpart, Tony Banks, impress a sellout crowd of 66,000. Lawrence Phillips lowers his shoulder, drives to the 20. That's a first down.
Hey, that's the kind of play they didn't run last time they had 3rd and short. They tried to take it wide against this defense. It didn't work out.
What dominance in the first half. 8 first downs for the Rams. The Packers have 1.
Rich Brooks watching his offense just methodically move down the field.
Phillips again Running room up the middle inside the 15. Coming up at halftime from the ESPN news desk, Chris Berman with the fastest 3 minutes in television, the Broncos' miracle finish, and a Grey Cup update. You remember the Grey Cup?
Yes, I did. Doug Flutie played in it today for the Toronto Argonauts, my old football team. 25 years ago, the Argonauts played in one when I was a mere child.
Newsome on the sideline appears to be all right. We'll check on his condition as soon as we can. Phillips now 4 carries, 20 yards. Flag is down as there was movement up front. The Rams applauding.
Encroachment on the defense, number 90. 5-yard penalty. The measurement gives a first down.
That's Darius Holland.
And, you know, a lot of times with a young quarterback, defensive linemen think that they can figure out a rhythm because they say, well, he's not mature enough to handle all that. That's another thing I like about Tony Banks, is he has a presence beyond his years in the league. He's mature about varying the snap count, making people think on the defensive side of the ball.
The Rams dominating. They haven't made it pay off yet. Phillips. Boy, for the Rams, this has turned out to be a game of here we come. If you can stop us, go ahead and try.
Yeah, and I like the way Jack Riley, the coordinator, is calling this thing. He's lining people up and taking his offensive line, which average about 300 pounds, and go after it. And Zach Wiegert, I mean, here's a guy who's told us, Mike, he's got to play the game of his life. He's going up one of the greatest players ever, and he's doing a darn good job against Reggie. You're not going to move him very far, but if you can stalemate him and give your guy a chance to go left or right, I think it's a job well done.
2nd and goal. That time they had 3 tight ends in the game. Phillips was the only one who was going to get the football, and now pushing and shoving afterwards. Kaburski and Cox were in on the tackle. Dwayne White didn't like something somebody did. The road grader, who's lost enough weight to be down listed at 315.
He's coming down to his program weight.
A mere backhoe now.
You know the thing that Tony Banks can do? He has the ability to move, which puts a little more pressure on a defense down around the goal line.
13th play of the drive that's taken almost 6.5 minutes. And now Banks is going to use another timeout.
And that's the 3rd one in this half, so they're out of them.
Reggie getting a breather.
But, you know, Tony has used them judiciously, Mike. It was a 3rd and short. He didn't want to get it was 3rd and 3. He didn't want to get the 3rd and 8. They wind up converting. On this particular play, you got a chance to score. There's about 2 minutes to go. You probably won't get the ball back to try something. Good decision.
ABC's Monday Night Football will come your way tomorrow night, 9 Eastern. The defending AFC champion Pittsburgh Steelers take on Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins. Al Frank and Dan will be in Miami to bring you that game.
Steelers trying to keep pace with the miraculous Denver Broncos. Well, when you got it going, after today's game, you got it going.
They might start to think that this has got to be their year after what happened today. The Rams, very impressive drive. Harold Green has come in on 3rd and goal. Banks fires. Bruce, touchdown. He beat safety Eugene Robinson in the back of the end zone.
And that gave you an idea how Tony Banks can set up and fire that pill.
Sensational drive for the Rams. Lohmiller will try to make it 7-0. And does. Isaac Bruce, whose idol is Jerry Rice, and he's playing a lot like him, has helped the Rams to a 7-0 lead.
They do a little bit of a shift to try and create some communication in the secondary. Now, Newsom's got him outside. That's 41. Eugene Robinson is inside, and Bruce just goes up and gets the football. I mean, it wasn't bad coverage, but watch Tony set and fire. Well, I'm going to you, Isaac. You just catch it. Look at that thing. There isn't a wavering bit on that ball.
5th touchdown catch of the year for Isaac Bruce.
You know, Michael, that, in my opinion, was a team touchdown. They ran the ball well. The offensive line picked up the 3rd down in shorts. Tony Banks made some good decisions using timeouts, and Isaac Bruce made some great catches, including the touchdown.
This offensive team has a tremendous future. Howard and Jervy are deep to receive. Packers, who did not give up a touchdown a week ago, 7 field goals, give up 1 tonight. Desmond Howard from the goal line. Todd Light couldn't hold him. Skurlock and Light will combine on the tackle at the 15-yard line. And now the Packers, you mentioned what emotion they put into last week's game. Now they've got to realize this isn't last week. Forget about Dallas. You've got to suck it up and win this game.
And I think they can, Mike. Usually a team that comes out early in a game and is as flat as I think they were and as tired as they look, now you realize you're in the football game. That's all behind you. Your legs should be back a little bit. Now you're going to play on emotion and adrenaline. That's what Holmgren's guys have to do.
This is the number 6 ranked offense in the NFL. They have 1 first down with 2:16 to go in the half. Favre pump fake. Now he's trying to roll out of trouble. Carter had him. He throws it away. That's got to be intentional grounding and a safety.
That'll be a safety.
If you throw the ball away in the end zone, it's 2 points.
Intentional grounding on the offense, number 4. Foul happened in the end zone. Safety.
Up. Kevin Carter was all over him when he rolled back to the right, and especially if you throw the ball under him, they're going to get you.
Well, Brent's going to try and get rid of it, but I mean, when you're in a situation, he should have never got himself there. He should have unloaded it early. He goes back in the pocket. He doesn't have the quick post. Now spin, now throw it. I don't think he can outrun Kevin Carter. He just found out he couldn't. Now Brent's trying to say to the ref, hey, look, you know, my forward motion stopped on the 1. He said, no, Brent, you're back here 8 yards deep in the end zone. Not going to happen.
And he did have a receiver about another 10 yards downfield, but they're not going to give him that one, and it's 9-0 Rams.
Kevin Carter told me on Friday when I sat with him, he says, we just have to keep getting our hands on Brett Favre, and he said, I have to keep at least one eye on him. So if he starts to scramble, I have to know where he is. He found him that time.
66,000 fans waited a long time to get a football team back in this city, and they are making the most of it. And, of course, this would be the last in a long list of weekend upsets. Ross and O'Berry are deep. Brett Favre said last night, we need one of those 40-point games to make us feel that we've gotten back. Well, they have 0 with 2:08 to go in the half.
Looks like they may have to wait another week.
Jackie kicking off for the first time this year. Excuse me, that was Hendrick on the free kick. This one's loose and recovered by Green Bay. It looked like Mike Pryor nearly had his head taken off, lost his helmet. Fortunately, his head isn't in it, but Pryor came down with a football.
What are they doing, man?
The ball will belong to the Green Bay Packers, and perhaps that will jumpstart their offense.
Invalid fair catch signal on the receiving team, number 84. That foul is declined. The ball is covered by Green Bay. First down.
2-minute warning. 9-0 Rams. Get a break on the free kick. This was a really bizarre play. Nobody caught the ball.
Well, Herman O'Berry's got to go up and try and make it. Watch number 84, Conwell, right here. He's going to be waving his hand all the way over. And here's O'Berry over there going to try and move for the ball. See number 84 put his hand in the air, signaling like it's a fair catch, but O'Berry lets it hit the ground. I personally think that O'Berry thought that it was a punt. And because the kick was a punt on a free kick, it's not treated like a punt. It's treated like a kickoff, and after it goes 10 yards, can be recovered. That's the errors of a young kick returner. That's what happens when Eddie Kennison's not back there.
First time the Packers have been past their own 35-yard line. Favre dumps it to Dorsey Levens. Levens tackled at the 31.
Mike, this is where a young football team can't let something really bad drag them down. They can't say, oh gosh, here we go again. They have to take the attitude, hey, we just have to go out and keep on playing the kind of defense we played.
And they certainly had all the emotion on their side after the safety.
Yeah, that's like a little bit of air coming out of the balloon. Now the Packers have to say, we got a break, let's capitalize on it.
Favre, short set, Risen to the 22. And Risen comes up shoving.
Again, you'll see some of the more simple routes Andre will run for Brett Favre. This is a simple, quick post. He goes down, breaks inside. Terrific job catching the ball away from his body. And there's the throw. Just flicks it out. I think a lot of his ability to catch the football with just his hands comes from his learning in the run and shoot. I remember talking to Terrence Mathis down there. He said if you wait for the ball to get to your body, it's very difficult to be able to turn and run with it. If you have it in your hands, you can make plays.
And Risen, in his first week as a Packer, is the leading receiver right now. 3 catches, 24 yards. Remember, they tried to get him 2 years ago as a free agent. He signed with Cleveland instead. Bennett, nowhere to go. Lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Kevin Carter, number 93, with great penetration. Both he and DeMarco Farr, number 75, just shut down that left side.
Clock running, approaching a minute. Edgar Bennett, 4 carries, no yards. Favre dumps it to Henderson. He dropped it. Favre just waited for everybody to clear out, flipped it over the middle, and Henderson's so anxious to run.
Perfect call, Mike. I mean, I don't think he's going to score, but he certainly gets inside the 10. See Robert Jones just taking off back. Look at that. There isn't anybody within 10 yards of him, and he just can't hang on to it.
Stops the clock with 44 seconds left in the half. 3rd and 10. Nickens and Beebe, the wideouts. Favre in the flat to Bennett, and he's swarmed at the 20. Toby Wright, the hard-hitting, strong safety, was right there.
You know, I talked about a 3rd down and short call by Jack Riley. I didn't like it. I don't like this one by Mike Holmgren. You've got 3rd down and 10. Mike, you got, if you want to keep the chances for a touchdown going, you've got to try and go down the field. I don't think Brett Favre was pressured that much that he had to unload the football that quickly. So, I mean, both offenses taking one play don't necessarily, I think, call something that gives them the biggest advantage. Here comes the rush, but, I mean, nobody's really on him. He's just giving ground and trying to hang it up outside. And then a good job by the Rams coming up and filling on it.
But isn't part of that decision the built-in reads in the West Coast offense?
Yeah, I mean, you try and read it that way, but I think that Brent just unloaded. He never set up. He was never stopped. He never stopped and really let the defense do anything. He just kept going backward.
Toby Wright is the injured Ram.
See him coming in, number 32.
Oh, helmet on the knee.
And these guys don't wear big knee pads. Believe me, defensive backs, wide receivers. Now you get a linebacker, he wouldn't even know he got hit because he's got so much padding on.
Toby Wright called by Football Weekly the biggest hitting defensive back in the NFL. Coming up at halftime from the ESPN News Desk, Chris Berman with the fastest 3 minutes in television. That great Bronco finish as they still only have a single loss on the year. And an update on the Canadian Football Championship, the Grey Cup. And Wright limping, but able to walk off under his own power. That'll put Gerald McBurrows, number 23, in the lineup. And Chris Jackie will take over for Favre and try the field goal.
The thing is, Chris Jackie has a natural fade when he kicks it. Now, he's a right-footed kicker. And in talking to Nolan Cromwell, the special teams coach of the Packers, he said if he hits it right, it's going to go down the middle. He said if he doesn't hit it well, it will hook. That's what you can look at. Plus, also, Mike Holmgren hates kickers. He told us that. They know that he doesn't like them. And so Jackie better not miss this one.
Jackie is the longest tenured place kicker in the NFL. He's been with the Packers for 8 years. And his contract will be up at the end of the year. And place kickers aren't getting much money from coaches these days. And they're going to let the clock run down and then use a timeout. So the Rams won't have an opportunity to get the ball back.
Well, not only that, they won't have an opportunity to return a kick. See, I think this is just good, smart coaching. You don't want to give them back the ball, and that way they will never get it.
Let's check in with Mark Malone. Mark?
Thanks, Mike. As you look at St. Louis and the way they've scored points today, well, it's because they've been able to handle Reggie White, who's in our spotlight right now. They've come up with a very nice scheme. First of all, when they throw the ball, they triple team him. Half the offensive line's over there. Then Conwell letting him go upside, and then they run the draw inside. Then, of course, the tight end Conwell again cutting him. Reggie does a good job of getting back up, but that's for 4 yards. Here are the numbers so far on Reggie White in terms of double teams. Well, they've double teamed 12 of 33 plays. They rushed at him 8 for 35 yards. 3 tackles, 1 quarterback hit. Mike?
All right, thanks, Mark. Chris Jackie from 37 yards. Packers trying to get on the board, and finally do. On the last play of the first half, after giving up a touchdown and a safety, the Green Bay Packers cut it to 9-3. That's the end of the first half. Now let's join Chris Berman at the ESPN News Desk for the Acura. The St. Louis Rams with a lot of intense play on both sides of the ball in the first half, and they lead the favored Green Bay Packers 9-3 at the half. And look at the rushing yards. 10 for Green Bay. Total yards, 48 for Green Bay. That's their worst first half since 1991 before Mike Holmgren got there. 48 total yards in the first half. Third down conversions, 1 out of 7. Their average play on first down, 1 single yard. You got to give a lot of credit to that Rams defense.
And you also take a look at the time of possession. The Rams are doing exactly what they want. They're keeping that Green Bay offense off the field.
J.T. Thomas and Keith Crawford are deep. Crawford number 20. And he'll get the ball at the 8. Crawford maintains his balance somehow and got it up to the 27-yard line. The Rams will start from there as Jeff Thomason down on special teams to make a tackle. The Rams in turnovers, 30. That's the most in the NFL. They gave up 43 sacks coming into the game, the most in the NFL. Tied for 4th most in penalties. Last in passing. Last in total offense. Doesn't look like the same team as statistics would lead you to believe.
No, it doesn't, but the second half has also been a problem for them, and this is where they really have to continue to play with that intensity.
Phillips starts as the tailback. And he'll get the carry. Ouch. Gilbert Brown, all 335 pounds, waiting for Phillips in the hole.
You know, that didn't gain anything, but I think for Lawrence Phillips, it showed one thing. He will press the point of attack. Even if it's a mountain standing in front of him, he's going to try and press it.
Well, Mike Holmgren describes Gilbert Brown as a man and a half wide, and he is. 2nd and 11, loss of 1 on that play. Brown and Reggie White trying to anchor that line. Banks, short set, shift, intercepted by Evans. Evans is gone. Touchdown. Doug Evans with his 5th interception of the year, a 30-yard touchdown return, and he saw that one coming.
Mike, what happens is when you know that a blitz breakoff is the quick post, you get a chance to gamble. Out to your left, the safety comes off the corner. Donald Evans just steps in front of the wide receiver, J.T. Thomas, and takes it on in. Safety comes up top. He knows the blitz breakoff is there. Here they come again. It's that multiple of different places that people come from by Fritz Schirmer and his defense.
And all that is study, watching film and knowing what to expect. And Evans did a beautiful job. It's his first career touchdown on a return, and officially 32 yards. And bang, bang, the Packers have a chance to take the lead after they have been dominated by the Rams. There are markers down right now as Evans gets continued congratulations.
Encroachment on the defense, number 98. The penalty, we missed it on the kickoff, 5 yards. Retry from the 2.
Tony Banks upstairs talking to Jack Riley. Say, look, all right, look, there's Jack in the middle. Say, look, don't worry about it. We're in this ball game. You're doing the right things. Forget about it. That's exactly the conversation that was had.
The point after by Jackie is good. The 11th interception on the year for Tony Banks, who has also thrown 11 touchdown passes.
ESPN Sunday Night NFL is brought to you by McDonald's, official break of the NFL. By Travelers Insurance. What we all want, Travelers Insurance provides. Something to hold on to. And by Isuzu, equipment for real life.
Back in St. Louis, and how disheartening must this be for the Rams, who have dominated the Packers, yet find themselves on the short end of a 10-9 score. Chris Jackie handling the kickoff duties for the first time this year. Craig Hendrick had a little bit of a sore leg. Crawford a yard deep. He'll keep it there.
Fritz Schirmer, I think, created that situation for the Green Bay Packers, Mike. He called the perfect play, relying on the offense. There's Eugene Robinson. He's going to come on a blitz. That means that J.T. Thomas has got to run the blitz breakoff. Tony Banks has got to throw it there, but Donald Evans says, I know where you're going. I'm going to pick it off, and I'm going the other way. Good read by the quarterback. Here comes the blitz. Good read by the wide receiver. Great execution by the defense, and a terrific call by Fritz. He's the one that gets the credit.
An athlete making the play. Lawrence Phillips. Crushed by Gilbert Brown. That's 2 straight running plays that Gilbert Brown has just destroyed Lawrence Phillips.
Looks like a different football team.
Doesn't it?
Yep. The miscue by the Rams on their special teams at the end of the half really gave Green Bay and gave them an impetus to wake up and say, hey, look, we can't get beat here. We're in the middle of this playoff thing to get home field. Let's get going.
If they win tonight, they would tie San Francisco for the best record in the NFC. And movement early by the left side of the line. Gandy and Conwell both got an early start opposite Gabe Wilkins.
False start on the offense, number 70. 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
The team that leads the NFL in false starts does it again.
Tony Banks, as the quarterback of this football team, and Rich Brooks as quarterback, has just got to settle down his football team and say, look, we played a good first half. We can do it. Just relax. Everything's fine.
Body help! Body help!
Whistles, and there was movement up front again. This time it's going to be Zach Wiegert, number 72, the right tackle. Reggie White leaned a little forward. Zach reacted to him.
Before the snap, there was a false start on the offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Watch Reggie lean forward a little bit. Reggie comes, Zach goes. Now, the rule change and the interpretation now is that if a defensive player moves and draws the offensive player offside, it's a penalty against the defense. Reggie's movement was not enough to get Zach to do that.
He did not get into the neutral zone. Now it's 2nd and 20. Banks rifles one to his tight end, Conwell. Oh, what an arm this kid has.
Yeah, and you know something? That was a much better catch than you might think, because Ernie Conwell on his right ring finger has got a staple holding it together in a bunch of stitches. He comes in motion. Look at that right hand of his. That's a club. And he just cradles this thing and puts it away. Good throw down the middle. Green Bay decides to go too deep. Pryor makes the hit late.
The youngest of 9 children out of the University of Washington with a big catch and a first down for the Rams. Banks trying to throw for Bruce. Excellent coverage by Newsome. Well, Newsome did a good job. You've got to respect Bruce's speed downfield, then when he comes back to stay with him.
And I think if there was one area that you could focus on of the Green Bay Packers a year ago, it was the youthfulness of their corners. And Craig Newsome, only being in the league a year, really didn't have the confidence that he has now. Now he's playing on that island and really doing a terrific job for Fritz.
He was their first-round draft choice a year ago out of Arizona State. Here comes the blitz.
Oh, my God.
And Banks just has to unload. He was throwing for Harold Green coming out of the backfield. Gilbert Brown was firing upfield and had his legs taken out from under him. Mike Holmgren may have taken a few paint chips off the wall in that halftime oratory this week.
There might be a few dent chairs.
What a superb job he has done. He and general manager Ron Wolf have built a tremendous football team. I have all the respect in the world for Mike Holmgren. Third and 10, 3-man rush. Hit from behind. Broken up by Wilkins, and on that play, Reggie White was being triple teamed. That gave Wilkins the opportunity to come from behind.
Keep in mind, that's the side that Sean Jones normally played with that bad ankle. Wilkins comes around and makes the play, but they're not going to let Reggie play. There's the club. There's the rip. There's the jump. And there's the bat down. He's trying everything. Gabe Wilkins just comes around and puts the hit on Tony Banks.
The guy who wrote it might as well be Betty White instead of Reggie White. You don't have to triple team Betty White. Play clock at 2. They just got the snap off. Landetta sails another one for Howard. And Desmond Howard pushed out of bounds as he crossed the 30. Cedric Figueroa downfield. The brilliant all-time sack leader Reggie White and Zach Wigert, who he taught a lesson to. With the loss to Dallas last week, you could tell Green Bay was questioning itself, really where they belonged in the NFL. Had to get more questions by the first half tonight against the Rams, starting to answer some now.
Yeah, but you know the thing is the defense has risen to the occasion, but offensively, I mean, when you look at what they've generated in the first half, now it's time for the offense to come back and do a little bit of playing. This is a very important series for this offense.
Favre guns this one to the sideline, and is it a catch? Yes. Rison and Parker was right on it. What a throw by Favre.
And what a grab by Andre Rison. Does a good job of pushing off. Anthony Parker breaks on the ball. Favre keeps this thing high. If that thing's down lower, Parker's got it. What a look at the toes. Watch the toes on this. He makes it again, but watch his toes right there. Unbelievable.
Was Andre Rison worth the gamble? I think you could already say yes.
I don't think he was a gamble. I think he's a bargain.
Well, a lot of people thought he was because of his past history.
The defense, number 41, 5-yard penalty. The measurement gives a first down.
It's Todd Light, the corner, who was up in bump and run coverage. And he's wondering how in the devil he got offsides.
I think Andre moved just a little bit. He went up to bump him.
He's still pleading his case.
That's like coaches sending letters to the league office about plays to be reviewed. They agree. It doesn't change it.
Favre play action. Now dumps it to Bennett. Bennett got around Jenkins and picked up a couple. We talked about Andre Rison. He went from a 3-time Pro Bowler to a 2-time waiver wire cast-off in less than a year. We asked Favre about his attitude.
Andre's been there, and I've seen him work hard. I've seen him make the big catches. And I've talked to him this week in the locker room, and he says, hey, all I want to do is get this team to a Super Bowl. This is the closest I've ever been, really, being with a great team. And I thought that was interesting. And other guys are feed off of that, and we need them to. We're young right now, and we need a guy like Andre.
2nd and 3. Edgar Bennett very close to the first down sticks. More pushing and shoving.
One other point with Andre. The reason why he went to Cleveland instead of Green Bay a few years back, Mike, is he felt like the Cleveland Browns had the makings of a Super Bowl team. They were 12-4 the year before. He looked at Eric Metcalf. He looked at Michael Jackson. He looked at different guys on that football team, Randy Baldwin. He said, hey, look, this is a great nucleus. I want a shot at the Super Bowl. That's why he passed up Green Bay back then. Now he's delighted to be here. As a matter of fact, he told me today he woke up at 6:30 this morning to study his playbook. And Terry Mickens is his roommate. He thought there was a ghost walking around in the room. It was Dre going in to study.
Well, he could only absorb a few plays. As we told you earlier, Brett Favre will call the play in the huddle and then tell Rison, run a short post, run a slant, whatever. As the weeks go by, he will pick up more and more of the offense. And next week, they expect to get Antonio Freeman back, maybe in a couple Pete Shimura.
But even in this game, he's hardly been off the field.
No.
He's getting on-field experience.
3rd and short. No one in the backfield for Favre. And he'll quarterback keep it and get the first down. Behind Frank Winters and Adam Timmerman, and they got a good shove off the line of scrimmage.
Packers still haven't tried to push the ball down the field. Everything's been 10 yards, 11 yard, 12 yard. I'd look for him somewhere in this quarter to try and take it up top a little bit, whether it be with a play action fake or a quick post and go. Some way to get the ball down the field.
Rison comes out. The real speed guy, Don Beebe, is in, flanked to the top of your screen. Favre has to run, and he's sacked back at midfield. Caught from behind by Kevin Carter, number 1 in sacks on the team. He now has 7.5.
Earl Dotson, the right tackle, number 72, has got his hands full with Kevin Carter. Number 72 sets back. Kevin Carter just comes around and gets up underneath. Brett Favre can't outrun him.
Carter, his 2nd year out of the University of Florida, a first-round draft choice a year ago. That time it looked like Favre was looking toward BBD. Never had a chance to get it off. Here comes the blitz. Favre with a screen to Dorsey Levens. Great call against the blitz, and they nearly broke it big.
Brett Favre was about 40 yards back by the time he stopped. You know, the thing is, he's a big guy. And Mike Holmgren, you know, has really had to put a governor on him as far as his emotions and his speed. But he really moves incredibly well for a guy his size. 220, 222 pounds.
3rd and 8. Desmond Howard is in along with Beebe, Mays, and Mickens in a 4-wide receiver set. Here comes the blitz again. They pick it up, and the pass complete to Don Beebe. First down at the Rams, 29. This looks more like what you expect out of the Green Bay Packers.
Well, they got a little bit of a rhythm going now. I mean, they're not trying to run the football. They're just going back and doing the things they do well, and that's throw it. Roman Pfeiffer, 58, is going to go right up the middle. They put the 5-man rush. The line does a good job of giving him time, and he makes the throw.
Longest play of the night for Green Bay, 12 yards. Henderson. And he didn't have a chance. Jimmy Jones, the former Cowboy who had 2 Super Bowl rings in Dallas, chased him down.
Jimmy Jones did a good job on that play, but Brett Favre continues to stay short. Here's his pass chart. Look at that. Down 15 yards, absolutely nothing. Working outside against the corners and occasionally in the middle. But he still's going to have to try something down the field sooner or later, I think, to back that defense off.
2nd and 13 after the 3-yard loss on the run. 4 wide receivers again. Favre hesitated, then got it to Bennett, who was out there in the slot, and Bennett down to the 23-yard line. Nice presence of mind by Favre. He wanted to throw it right away. It wasn't there. A linebacker was in the hole, and he waited till he cleared. And, you know, that's what he really does. Normally, that's a little bit too far to let the receiver clear to, but he knows on the other side he's got people clearing out. That's just a presence of a quarterback knowing where people are. And Old Mo has certainly changed in this game, totally in favor of the Packers, who have gone 44 yards on this drive, working on 5 minutes. 3rd and 4. Levens. They sealed the right side, and Dorsey Levens has a first down. Nice block by Mickens out on the corner. Looked like they surprised the Rams with that call. Yeah, and that is also one characteristic of this particular offense, the ability of their wide receivers to block. Coming right at you. You get that good push by the offensive line, but then outside, Mickens does a nice job of creating a wall and letting Levens get the first down. First down, Packers, who have come alive. Favre floats it, Risen, Lyle with the interception. Keith Lyle with his 6th pick of the year. Keith Lyle doesn't buy Brett Favre's break and pump fake to the back. He's staying right with Andre Rison. Rison going in, now he's headed for the corner. Well, I got Lincoln beat, but I don't have Lyle beat. And we'll be back. Don't go away. Lyle picks off Favre, only the 9th interception for Brett all year, and the first he has thrown inside the 20-yard line. Lyle's dad, Gary, a longtime defensive back for the Chicago Bears, and his son following in his footsteps. Banks changing the play. Fumbled the snap, and the Packers have it. Green Bay recovers the center snap. And it's going downhill for the Rams. On offense. On defense, they continue to come up with big plays. On offense, it literally is just slipping away from them. Tony Banks has done such a terrific job protecting the football over the last 3 weeks. Now he's up to 16, the most in the NFL. Has 2 to go to tie Dave Craig. And that was the 8th he has lost this year. The problem on the snap with Bostic. That ball never gets up. I mean, you know, he winds up getting credit with the mishandle, but Bostic never ever gets it up to his hands. So the Packers take over again at the 20. Bennett on the draw. Not much there. Made the most out of it. Slashes down to the 15-yard line. I think Brett Favre has got to make some good throws to start getting his confidence back. It looks like Mike Holmgren has set this offense up to get the ball to Andre Rison. This is almost a throwback to when Robert Brooks was in earlier, or when Sterling Sharp played there. Exactly. Let's find one guy and just get him the football. And it's almost like he's cast his reeds to the wind. And I don't care where you are, Andre. I'm going to find you. Sterling said they gave him my number, my position. What's next? My job? Under pressure, Keith Jackson to the 8-yard line. The saving tackle by Toby Wright. Mike, I personally think that Brett Favre is at his best in an ad-lib situation. This is a situation where he starts to roll to the right. Here comes the pressure. Starts to roll, and then just knows that Keith Jackson's coming across, and he makes the throw.
Keith running free. Nobody's going to be on him because they have the blitz. Winds up getting tackled by Toby Wright, but a little bit late.
That was only his second catch of the night. Caught 7 for 98 a week ago against Dallas. First and goal. Bennett to the 6. Maybe the 5.5. Inside the 20, the Packers come into the game ranked 8th in the NFL, scoring a touchdown 57% of the time. The last possession, Favre throws the interception, his first inside the 20, but has 18 touchdown passes down there. What numbers?
I mean, it's incredible. And the thing is, you look at the only 4 sacks. His mobility creates a lot of the touchdowns and limits the sacks.
Second and 6. Play action by Favre. That one is tipped and should have been intercepted right in the hands of Jimmy Jones. Tipped by Carter. Oh, Jimmy Jones will never get an easier one than that.
Well, you know, it was easy, but it's really not that simple because the ball is tipped and it's running back and forth. You'll see it going flip-flop over. See, it's tipped. Now, if it's a spiral, maybe he catches it, but this is not the easiest thing in the world. Look at that thing. See? A little awkward. He's trying to catch it off his stomach. Not going to happen.
Third and goal. Favre to Jackson, touchdown. That was some throw by Brett Favre because he knows he's going to get hammered again.
And he has great confidence in Keith Jackson and knows where he's going to be. Keith Lyle, number 35, is on Keith Jackson. Little out and up move. He just froze him for a second, and Brett Favre really just hung that ball up for him to go get it.
Robert Jones had a bead on Favre and drilled him, but he got the ball away in time. And Jackson with his 7th touchdown catch of the year for Favre. It's his 29th touchdown pass. Jackie with a point after. 17-9. Green Bay extends its lead. Brett Favre, who leads the NFL in touchdown passes and passer rating, comes up big that time. 17-9 Green Bay. Light on the Rams sideline, really upset as he has seen his team go from a totally dominant position to being pushed around by the Packers now as Keith Jackson gets the score, and it's 17-9 Green Bay.
And it's been 3 miscues. It's been the mishandle on the free kick at the end of the half. It's been the interception and then the fumble from the snap. I mean, the Rams haven't even hardly been on offense this half.
No, their defense has played superbly. Crawford at the goal line. What a job by the Packers. They take him down at the 11-yard line. Travis Jerby led the rush and made the tackle. 8-point lead, Green Bay. Packers have come from behind in the second half to take a 17-9 lead. 3:51 to go third quarter. And the Rams will have to start from their own 11. St. Louis and their predecessor, the Los Angeles Rams, are the worst record in the 90s. That is why I say Rich Brooks can't be blamed in his second year for the state of this football team. He is trying to build a foundation to make them better, and I think he's done that.
And he also told us, Mike, he'd like one more year. He'd like to see these young kids develop a little bit and then take and do something with them when they have a little experience.
Phillips will get the carry. Tries to cut it back. No place to cut it back to. Santana Dotson was waiting for him. Leroy Butler was in on the tackle. Reggie White was over there as well.
The thing that the Packers have not done in the last 3 games is create turnovers. In this football game, they are creating turnovers. They had the recovered, what amounted to onside free kick. Then you get the interception and the fumble recovery, and it translates into 17 points for them.
And you know as well as I do, they come in bunches.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. I know that.
Banks on 2nd and 9. Very smartly throws that one away, intended for Thomas. College football on the news. Thanksgiving night at 7 o'clock. Bo Morgan and the Air Force take on their WAC rivals, San Diego State. See, 7 o'clock will be into that third piece of pumpkin pie by then.
I wonder how many points have we scored in this one.
Might be a few. 3rd and 9. And the momentum clearly has shifted to Green Bay. Harold Green is in at running back. Banks behind Thomas. Pryor was there on defense, but he was open, and Banks upset with himself for missing on that one.
J.T. Thomas moves on into what's considered a dead area in the zone, but the ball is thrown down low. And you know, Mike, though, from a receiver standpoint, if I was a receiver, I would never go back to Tony Banks and say throw it higher. I think that's a very important quality in a quarterback, to be a low ball thrower over the middle, so you protect the receivers. You know,
well, you get to keep your head.
And you get to keep the guys on the field with you a little while.
They need a good kick out of Landetta this time, who has been superb and continues to be. Drives Howard all the way back to the 33. Got a great block trying to get to the corner. Desmond Howard shoved out of bounds inside the 40. That's why they got Desmond Howard. They thought he could be a heck of a punt returner. Roman Pfeiffer saved the touchdown.
Nolan Cromwell's punt return team does a nice job of setting the wall up. Desmond takes it over on the numbers. Now he just believes in the wall. This is what's really known as just staying with the blocks, staying with what's called. Has enough speed to get around the corner, get behind the wall, and turn it up.
Michael Robinson, number 46, a reserve defensive back, threw that first big block that sprung him. And Eugene Robinson also threw one. Packers with excellent field position again, starting from the Rams 38. Favre going for the killer shot. Beebe overthrown. Nice job by Parker.
And you just knew it had to happen here in this quarter. I mean, it's not Mike Holmgren's nature just to nickel and dime his way through a football game. Plus, that also will now back up the Rams secondary a bit and say, listen, we're not afraid to try and go up top with our speed.
And Beebe still has that blinding speed. For the game that he had against San Francisco
career
earlier in the year, it was just unbelievable. 11 catches, 220 yards. Favre draw play. Bennett almost nothing as Robert Jones was waiting for him in the hole. This half, Green Bay has averaged, starting at its own at the Ram 45-yard line, St. Louis at its own 19.
You know, Michael, we talk about in different positions in a game where downs become so vitally important. This is a huge third down for the Rams on defense. They have got to get off the field, get a little bit of a blow, and allow the offense to get out there and try and make something happen, or force the Packers to try and punt.
Favre dumps it to Beebe, trying to use that great speed, got outside, got the first down. He juked McBurrow, and once he had McBurrow even up with him, it was over, because Beebe can run away from anybody.
Knew exactly where he wanted to go. They defensed it very well, but they just couldn't make the tackle. Beebe's going to come from the right part of your screen, underneath. Right here, you got him. You got him. No, you don't. So you just didn't give him enough credit for how fast he is.
Henderson and Bennett are the backs. The Packers now well within field goal range. Bennett. Well, the Rams have been tough against the run. Jones and Pfeiffer, Carlos Jenkins, all the linebackers closing hard. Jones second on the team in tackles, 86 coming into this game. For 3 years in Dallas, he had over 100. And Pfeiffer's had a sensational job. It will be 2nd and 8. Movement on the line. That was the left tackle, the rookie John Michaels out of Southern Cal. He's stepped back too early.
Before the snap, there was a false start on the offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Michaels is in there because Ken Rutgers, who had been injured and came back for one game last week against Dallas and played very well, went to Mike Holmgren and said, the knee just hurts too much. I cannot keep playing. Rutgers retired this week, to the applause of all of his teammates who really respected what he did.
But he also waited till after his day off. He didn't do it on Tuesday. He did it on Wednesday, and Mike said he was sipping a cup of coffee when he walked in and almost choked on it.
Second and 13. Favre, the throwback to Bennett. Edgar Bennett breaking tackles down to the 20-yard line. Excellent blocking by the Packers offensive line.
Brett Favre knows that they're going to chase him. They've been chasing him all night. So what he does is he runs out. Good job by the offensive line throwing the block. Now Edgar Bennett just treats this like a punt returner would, looking for the wall, making moves, protecting the ball, getting back a whole chunk of yardage.
Bennett, who last year became the first Packer running back since 1978 to go over 1,000 yards, does well on that screen pass. Great block by Frank Winters, the center, who got out there in a hurry and threw him a block on the screen. And the injured player, DeMarco Farr, able to come off with a little help.
You know, Mike, the backs haven't really caught as many balls as you might think for this offense. I mean, Bennett has 26 receptions coming into tonight. Henderson had 20. Dorsey Levens only had 20. You know, it's only 60-plus receptions through the 11th game for the backs in this offense. Not as much as they've had in the past.
No, you would expect a lot more, especially the way this offense is run. It's always relied on backs to catch the football. 3rd and 3. Favre guns this one. Risen went down at the 8-yard line to get it. What a catch. The Rams saying it hit the ground and really beefing about it, but the official says he got the hands underneath. End of the quarter, 17-9 Green Bay.
The Bills at home against the Jets. In the 4th quarter, the rookie #1 pick, Eric Moulds, takes the kickoff, applies the special sauce. 97 yards. Good. Go all the way. The Bills have won 4 straight. They doused the Jets 35-10.
And Boomer, the Bills are back. I mean, people were so worried about Jim Kelly. Even Jim Kelly was worried about Jim Kelly. Now they get back to the K-gun. He's been on fire.
And the only thing is, though, both Jim and Thurman Thomas wound up being out of that football game. So have to see how they heal through this week.
We have reversed the numbers for you. It's 1st and goal, Green Bay, as they have dominated the second half. Favre pumps, throws, and Risen couldn't get there. Well, go back to the play before we change this.
Well, what happens is, only if you have a quarterback like Brett Favre can you do this with Andre Rison. Be able to tell him where to go and what to do. He does a wonderful job of going down and making the play. Absolutely a catch. But Brett knows what he wants Andre to do, but yet never loses sight of where Keith is or anybody else.
You don't think he's happy to have Rison at Green Bay?
Found his new best friend.
Yes, sir. Dorsey Levens trying to cut it back, takes a hit, stays on his feet, got down to the 5, and Toby Wright, who will normally deck a running back, just got a glancing shot that time.
Mike, if the Rams defensively can force the Packers to try a field goal here, they're only down by a touchdown and a field goal if you throw in the 2-point conversion. So this is again a very critical situation for them to have at least an opportunity to tie in sight.
Early 4th quarter, it was 9-0. Early with the Rams on top, a touchdown and a safety. Favre being chased by DeMarco. Favre got away, throws, touchdown. Dorsey Levens made the catch. There are Green Bay Packer linemen all over the field as Brett Favre ran sideline to sideline, then faked everybody out when it looked like he might run it in.
Mike, I'll tell you something. He is so dangerous once he breaks contain of the pocket. I can't even draw as much as he runs around here. All the way out to the right. Now he comes back. DeMarco almost has him, but he has such great strength. Now he just flips it. And Dorsey Levens is there to make the play.
Carlos Jenkins was licking his chops. He thought, I've got a quarterback here. And Favre so quickly just unloaded.
I think, he just continues to make a case for being MVP of the league again this year.
Marker down on the point after.
Illegal formation on the offense, number 72. After this 5-yard penalty, retry at the 7.
They will have to try the point after again.
Mike Carey, our referee, sort of getting used to his new responsibility.
Not on the line of scrimmage.
I'll tell you, if you're a running back or a wide receiver or a tight end, and Brett Favre is your quarterback, you can't ever think that something's over.
Brett Favre has just become the second player ever in the NFL with 3 30-touchdown seasons. Guess who's the other one? Dan Marino, who he has 4.
Of course, Dan gets to display his talents tomorrow night.
Jackie will now line it up for what amounts to a 25-yard extra point. Jackie knocks it through, and that will make it 24-9. Brett Favre with a magic act, somehow escaping the pressure and unloading for the touchdown to Dorsey Levens.
ESPN Sunday Night NFL is brought to you by Cadillac and your Cadillac dealers, by Packard Bell, the world's #1 selling home computer, and by Sega Saturn. You just can't beat the system.
The Green Bay Packers have turned this game around from being down 9-0. They have scored 24 unanswered points to take the lead with 14:08 to go in the game. Chris Jackie's done a nice job on the kickoff tonight.
And the Cheeseheads have a lot to cheer about.
Keith Crawford and J.T. Thomas are deep to receive. Thomas a year ago, 4th in the nation in kick returns at Arizona State. And he'll have a chance to bring this one back. Now he backpedaled into the end zone. This will be an interesting call. Was he in? They're going to call it a touchback. J.T. Thomas perilously close to recording his own safety.
Yeah, but the momentum of the kick to go back and get it, put it back. His second foot went into the end zone. Watch his foot. Drives him on back. There's his foot right there. He's in the end zone. The impetus of the ball drove him back in, so it should be, if he decides, it's a touchback.
And he's so close. If the ball breaks the plane of the goal line coming out the whole ball, then he's on his own.
Give him another year and he comes out. He's not going to kneel down.
Lawrence Phillips at tailback. 14 minutes to go. Now the Rams have to get the offense on track. Banks, quick set to Bruce. And Bruce tried to get away from Newsome and couldn't. Upset with himself, but he couldn't make that spin move. Boy, this kid is going to have All-Pro written all over him. He's going to make so many trips to Honolulu.
Yeah, he's going to buy a condo over there.
(24-9). It is still a 2-score game for the Rams, down by 15. Banks over the middle, and it came loose. Bruce couldn't hold it. That will be an incomplete pass. Evans was on the way to the end zone with what would have been his second touchdown of the game.
Now, that was a catchable ball.
Brett Favre, who didn't do anything really with only 55 yards passing in the first half, has 96 in the second half, but it was his scrambling ability that set up one of those 2 touchdowns.
And it's his ability to break contain that creates problems for a defense. You just can't stay with his receivers long enough when he's out running around.
And still, the Packers' long play tonight is 12 yards. It's amazing. Banks double clutched and is sacked back at the 21-yard line. And that was Leroy Butler from the secondary. He has 4.5 sacks blitzing from the safety spot.
Number 36 is right here. He's going to see him come. He sees the back block. He says, okay, I'm going to look for the opening. Now I'll pursue. You know what he did? He didn't come recklessly. He came with patience, read Tony's eyes, wanted to see what he was doing. Then when he had a chance to strike, he pounced. You know, that pounce on top of a guy like that.
Desmond Howard back at the 30. Landetta to punt. High floater. Howard has to signal fair catch and makes it just inside the 40. 39-yard punt, no return. Green Bay's ball when we come back.
Welcome back to St. Louis. Andre Rison in our spotlight tonight. And it's almost short of miraculous what he and Brett Favre have been able to do with just a couple of days of practice. Check a look at this sample here. The crisp slant inside, fearless. And then the beautifully timed out route on a dime. Catches the ball, beautiful feet. And then, of course, the inside route against double coverage down on the carpet. Unbelievable. Really chemistry coming together for these two players, Mike.
And, Mark, what really shows in those replays, the superb sharp cuts that Andre Rison makes. Quarterbacks love that. Don't round them off because you get them picked. Favre, quick set. Has it complete down to the 45-yard line as Terry Mickens has it. Back to Mark Malone.
Thanks, Mike. Here are our Packard Bell spotlight numbers so far. They have thrown to Andre Rison 9 times. He's caught 5 balls for 28 yards, 2 of those for first downs. The thing that's very interesting, not only is he getting off coverage for other receivers, but as you notice, all the passes he caught were off coverage, but the corners are settling. It's time that Brett Favre go up top to Rison on the outside. Mike?
We'll look for that, Mark, and I'm sure Andre Rison would like nothing better. Bennett. Boy, there's a nice tackle by Osborne. He's in there for DeMarco Farr at that left tackle spot, and he saved a bigger game.
And I think that's the thing that the Rams have to be conscious of now is they've been on the field an awful lot this second half, and it just has a tendency to wear you down. They've got to try and get off. They've got to try and create third down situations where they can give the ball back to the offense.
It's been the youngsters who have made the mistakes for Rich Brooks tonight, and that's what he is saddled with. They are very talented, but they're very young. 2nd and 5. Favre rifled that one. Beebe might have needed a bucket to catch that.
I think you can make a case sometimes that he throws the ball just a tad too hard. And I think somebody could get the support that would be Don Beebe.
Well, I think Beebe heard that one before he saw it.
You know, you just can't get your head around quick enough to protect you. Look at he's laughing.
He's smiling.
I said, come on, man. Take a little bit off.
Good thing you didn't hit me in the chest with that.
You know, they should have a radar gun for him, just like we do the pitchers.
Elway was often accused of that in his early
They ought to
years.
issue asbestos gloves for the receivers.
3rd and 5. Quick shot to Beebe. Oh, what a beautiful throw by Favre.
You'd have to say that one was a little bit more catchy.
Yes.
Don Beebe lines up outside. Nobody's on him. No linebacker. Nobody out there. So he just goes inside hard. Makes the play.
Don Beebe thrilled to be here, given a chance to play after being an understudy for so many years at Buffalo. Out of tiny Chadron State. Dorsey Levens checks in on 1st and 10. Levens straight up the middle. And this is what my granddaddy used to call in the second half a good old-fashioned whooping.
They are. They're just putting it on. What the offensive line now of the Green Bay Packers is doing is they're controlling the front 4 of the Rams. Earl Dotson, number 72, up against number 75, DeMarco Farr. That's Adam Timmerman helping him out, number 63. And he creates the hole up the middle.
And to go back to your point a couple of plays ago, you can tell that Rams line is tired. They are whipped. 2nd and 1. Henderson. Jenkins trying to keep him from the first down, but it looked like he had it before he was shoved back.
Gary Brown on the left side of the line, number 68, is doing a good job on Leslie O'Neal. Leslie's been around the ball just a few times tonight.
Leslie O'Neal brought over here to make plays as he did in San Diego, and he's taken a lot of heat this year and accepted it. He says, I'm not playing the way I want to play. One of the most outspoken players in the NFL in the last decade.
Michael, excuse me, that was John Michaels, number 77.
Favre with all day. Now flag is down. And Roman Pfeiffer with another tackle, this time on Edgar Bennett. Can't say enough about Pfeiffer. He's played his heart out. But this one will go against Green Bay. Mike Holmgren clearly frustrated by the loss against Dallas. And to a man, they would love to get the Cowboys at Lambeau Field for the playoffs. Rams still making up their mind.
Illegal hands to the face on the offense, number 73. 10-yard penalty. It remains first down.
Terran Taylor, the big left guard.
There's one guy who would like to get somebody in particular in his hands, and that's Reggie White. He'd like to have a real close sit-down with Barry Switzer. I mean, Reggie just was not happy at all with the decision that Barry made. But I got to be honest with you, Mike, I couldn't find a problem with it.
I didn't either, really. I thought Boniol deserved a shot at the record.
I did, too. I mean, obviously, Reggie was in the game, didn't feel that way.
No, we didn't mention that to Reggie either, to be honest. Here comes the blitz. Favre unloads, got it to Mickens. Brett Favre, one of his greatest abilities is to know who to get the ball to in a hurry when somebody's coming right down your throat.
And the other one is his physical attribute to be able to get it out in a hurry. Only Dan Marino is he close to in getting the ball out. I think Dan still gets it out quicker than anybody, but this thing's up and gone in a heartbeat. And, you know, they're not inaccurate throws, Michael. That's the other thing.
No, they're
right where you want them to be.
2nd and 6, they'll go with 2 tight ends as Thomason checks in to join Jackson. And Jackson goes out as a flanker. Bennett straight up the middle on the draw. Bennett down to the 8-yard line. Carlos Jenkins saved the touchdown, but it will be 1st and goal for Green Bay. You don't often see a first to second half turnaround the way we have had tonight.
The Packers want to run up the middle, and they have. Frank Winters, number 52, is going to make the block right in the middle of the screen. Does a good job of pushing out. Chucky Osborne doesn't really have much of a play.
1st and goal from the 7. Bennett dances inside the 5 to about the 4. Robert Jones, the middle linebacker, waiting for him there. What is interesting about the transformation in Green Bay in the second half, you pointed out so well in the first half that they looked very slow, very lethargic, both on offense and defense. The second half, maybe it was the early turnover. They came out fired up.
They really did. Mike had to say a few things to him at halftime, but that little spark at the end of half didn't hurt for him.
2nd and goal, Bennett to the 3. Middle linebacker Robert Jones again got some help from Carter coming over from the left end spot.
Mike, no way that Mike Holmgren runs 3 straight times. I think it's part of his contract, and it's not in his nature. I'd be shocked if he tries to run a 3rd time here.
Packers goal to go 88% of the time, and 14 out of 16 have been passing touchdowns.
That's why I say I don't think he's going to run a 3rd time in a row. Biggest problem now for the Ram defense is containing Brett Favre if he breaks the pocket.
Favre into the end zone. That's picked off by Robert Jones. 3 big plays in a row by Jones, and uncharacteristically, Brett Favre has thrown his 2nd interception.
That's just trying to force the ball in. That's all that is. Robert Jones just does a good job of reading Brett Favre and knowing what he wants to do. He tries to look it off, but Robert Jones isn't buying any of it. He's hanging right in the middle. He's got it. He's not running. We're going to be back here.
6:04, 24-9. Green Bay. Chris leaped there. You land there. You hit the center of the bullseye. You get free cheese from Green Bay.
Look at this. Hey, Chris, if you can leap there, believe me, you got a contract waiting for you.
66,000 have been sorely disappointed with what has happened in the second half. Their team was up 9-0. Now they're down 24-9. They take over again at their own 20. Every possession of the half inside or at the 20. Thanks to Bruce, and Evans is right there. What happened on the interception?
Oh, Robert Jones just stayed with Brett Favre all the way. He's not going to try and look off with him. He's just going to try and stay with him, focus on him, and made the play.
Rams go to the hurry-up with 5:43 left in the game. Banks throws into the flat. He's got the first down to Conwell as tight end. The rookie out of Washington, their second-round draft choice this year.
You know, I like this, what the Rams are doing. It's another educational tool for Tony Banks to learn in this game.
Rams need 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. Wayne Simmons had that play in his mind from the snap of the ball.
All they're doing is watching Tony Banks' eyes and his head. When he looks somewhere, they look right at him and then just play it. Here's number 59. He's looking at number 12. When he throws, he jumps and he knocks it down. Look at that. He's just following his eyes and following his head and goes, ouch.
If a linebacker can lurk, Wayne Simmons was lurker. This linebacking core has become a strength of this team with Simmons on the left side, Kuntz in the middle, and Brian Williams on the other side. Second and 10. White applying pressure, and Banks throws it away.
Mike, to take that one step further, the fact that Brian Williams has played so well for them, number 51, allowed him to move George Kuntz inside, who has a little bit more speed. I mean, they went and got Ron Cox to play there, but George has got a little more speed, so it creates a little more flexibility for Fritz Schirmer on what he wants to do with his linebackers on defense.
And Williams really shocked this team in the preseason. He was hurt last year, so he really didn't know what they had as a rookie. But in preseason, he was just tremendous. They said they had to find a way to get him on the field. Third and 10. Three-man rush for Green Bay. Banks throws and has the first down. The catch made by Alexander Wright, the former Raider, who is coming off 2 back operations.
For Alexander Wright, the fact that he can play a full football game is as important as any catches he makes.
Sure.
The biggest thing that he is fighting right now is conditioning. It's one thing to go out and go through a couple of 3 days of practice, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the hard days. It's another thing to come out and play in a game.
He said the first day of practice, it felt great, and then he was gassed at the end of it, could barely stand up. Banks under pressure. Lost the football. Packers have it. The recovery made by Leroy Butler. Banks stepped up, and Keith McKenzie just about took him apart.
Wow, that was just a pure rookie mistake. I mean, he had the football up in an area to be exposed to a helmet by a Packer, and this one comes out like a Pez pop. Watch how he keeps the ball. See how the ball's up high? Not with one hand like that. You know, you can't do that. Believe me, Jack Riley, the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, will run that back 8 to 10 times and just say, Tony, you can't.
The 17th fumble of the year for Tony Banks, #1 in the NFL. He has lost 9 of them, but really, before this game in the last 3, he had protected the ball very, very well. He never saw McKenzie coming from the right side.
Doesn't matter.
Well, you're right.
You know, forget about not seeing McKenzie. You just can't have the ball out there like that in the middle of the football field or anywhere.
Packers, who have enjoyed great field position the entire second half, take over at the 45. Edgar Bennett with a little stutter step, and Lyle comes up to get him. Tony Banks is only 1 away from tying a record he doesn't want. Dave Craig and Warren Moon hold the single-season record for fumbles He is now tied Randall Cunningham and Dan Pastorini and Warren Moon again at 17. He's still got 4 games to go. Of course, you look at Dave Craig. Not only has he fumbled more times than anybody else that's ever played this game, he's been sacked more times than anyone else who's ever played.
Yeah, and the Rams called a timeout here, but I'll tell you something else about Dave Craig. He put on a heck of a performance again today. 3 touchdown passes, scrambling around like a little youthful individual.
We have always said when Dave Craig has the hot hand, he is as good as anybody. Hope you'll check out ABC Sports next Saturday. It's at 3:30 Eastern for the Skins game. We'll sure be watching that one because of Tiger Woods. He'll tee it off with John Daly, Fred Couples, and Tom Watson in what should be an exciting and interesting afternoon of golf. Don't miss the Skins game next Saturday, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. Who would have ever thought John Daly would be the short hitter in any group? Bennett leans down to about the 43. Edgar Bennett not having the rushing year he had a year ago when he went over 1,000. Came into this game with 643. But again, a 1,000-yard rusher in this offense is a luxury.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen very often. And the other thing that I found interesting, Mike, was talking to Brett Favre about the fact that they started out so well in the beginning of the year, and yet he said in the back of his mind, he felt like it wasn't going to last. He felt like there would be a point in the season when they wouldn't be as productive. And it really came in combination with the fact that their defense wasn't getting turnovers for them.
And the injuries to Brooks, Freeman, and Shimura. 3rd and 7. Favre dumps it to Henderson, and Henderson down to the 39-yard line. That's going to be about 4 yards short of a first down. We've got a timeout on the field. 3:44 left from St. Louis. It's a 15-point game. Here's the bronze storyline from St. Louis. The Packers with a 15-point lead, and after a horribly slow start, Brett Favre has now hit 25 out of 37, 2 touchdowns, a pair of interceptions. Banks, 133 yards. The big story, his 2 fumbles, which give him 17 for the year, and the fact that in the second half, Green Bay has just dominated, 177 to 48. Hendrick trying to pooch punt it. Herman O'Berry back, he'll let it go, and the Packers down it inside the 10. Let's go to Mark Malone.
Thanks, Mike. So far, the big story in the second half, well, it's been turnovers. The Green Bay Packers have endured a long, dry couple of weeks without them, but in the third quarter, they got things turned around tonight and got a lot of points. Evans on the interception right in the first series of the third quarter returns it for 7 points. Then later, on the next series, Banks fumbles the snap. Brian Williams recovers the football, and that led to the Keith Jackson touchdown. 14 points for the Packers in the third period. I'll tell you what, that has been the difference. They looked for a breakout game, and so far tonight, they've gotten it from their defense. Mike?
Absolutely, Mark, and with a win tonight, barring a miracle, they'll get it and equal San Francisco with the best record in the NFC. Banks from the 7 gets it out to Conwell, and he dives out past the 18-yard line. Doug Evans on the stop, and now the Rams will go back to the hurry-up.
I still like a lot of the youth on this Ram offense, Mike. Conwell, Banks, Kennison, who didn't play tonight. Phillips didn't play much.
Banks under pressure. He's going to try to run. He's got quick feet and gets up to the 27. You're right, Joe. It's one thing to be young, but this is very talented and young.
Yes, it is, especially at the skill positions.
There's a marker down on this play, back behind the line of scrimmage. And the play never happened. They'll bring it back. That look says it all for Rich Brooks.
Illegal motion on the offense, number 82. He never got set before the snap. 5 yards, still first down.
That's Jermaine Ross, the second-year man from Purdue. He's played quite a bit of wide receiver tonight. 1st and 15 for the Rams. 3:09 left to go in the game. Banks with plenty of time to throw over the middle and short of Isaac Bruce. 3 Packers back there on the coverage. Newsome, the closest.
Like sometimes in a situation like this in a game, It's the easiest time to set up in a pocket, and it's the most difficult time to throw the ball down the field because the holes are smaller. They're rushing 3, dropping 8, and so if you're going to make your throws, the place you're going to put the football is a lot less than it was if they're rushing more.
Tony Banks' numbers reflect what you said earlier about the Rams have had a lot of trouble in the second half. His numbers have really tailed off. 2nd and 15. The short pass to Green. Breaks a tackle, dives out to the 22-yard line where Leroy Butler got it.
Well, 4 times this year prior to today, Mike, in the second half. They lose to Carolina. They fade in the second half. They lose to Baltimore. They lose to Arizona. They almost gave it away against Jacksonville and wound up winning it.
Stay that way.
3rd and 7. Banks now under pressure, avoids the sack. And will have to get out of bounds. Green came back, tried to throw him a block and help him out against Darius Holland, but Shannon Clavell was the man who had the clean shot at him and missed.
That ought to give you an idea how strong he is. I mean, this kid is one tough cookie. He's big, he's physical, and I think the upside on Tony Banks is unbelievable.
Well, keep in mind, he played junior college at Mesa and only had 2 years of major college football at Michigan State.
Plus, this is literally his 5th different offensive system. He had 4 different ones through the college ranks.
4th and 8, and they're out to go for it with 2:30 left. And now Banks wants to use a timeout.
No timeout. 4th.
And now the Rams wiping out the timeout. So there will be none called.
What he did, though, he managed to get a new 25-second clock.
He did.
Pretty heady. Throw a little smoke screen at the referee. Get a little more time for yourself.
Last gasp for the Rams. Banks, throwback screen to Green. Blockers in front. Green gets to the 29-yard line and should have a first down. So the Rams stay alive, barely. Green's looked good tonight, Joe.
Yes, he has. He's run very hard, and you know, especially in the first half, the way they came out, they did everything right offensively.
Three-man rush. Banks airing it out, intended for Bruce, double covered and incomplete. 1:55 to go in the game. It's a 15-point lead. Packers. Patrick and Keith Olbermann, and they're getting ready for Sports Center coming up right after our broadcast. Some wild NFL finishes today. We'll also take a look at the Rockets and the Lakers, and that's followed by prime time right after Sports Center. 2nd and 10. Banks under pressure, rolls away from it. Throwing on the run and out of bounds. Intended for Jermaine Ross. Let's update you on the NFC division leaders, assuming Green Bay can hang on to this 15-point lead. They and San Francisco both 9-3. The Redskins at 8-4, and of course Green Bay owns the tiebreaker. And if they get to play at home in the playoffs, 14 straight at Lambeau Field, you can imagine the wind chill about 25 below.
Not only that, 3 of their next 4 home games are at Lambeau.
3rd and 10 for the Rams. Banks throws short, and Green can't come up with it. Covered by Leroy Butler.
When
Mike Holmgren knows there's no place like home.
You're right. 26-4 at home since '92. I love this one. 14-0 when the temperature is below 35 degrees. And I just think there might be a pretty good chance of it getting below that when they get up there this next month or so.
Yeah, you think at the end of December to January it might be below 35 in Green Bay? Reggie White, who put in a good night's work watching on 4th and 10. Banks out in the flat. to his tight end Conwell, and Conwell stops short of the first down, and the Rams will turn it over on downs.
Defensively, Mike, I felt like the Rams put a full night in. Did everything they could, and offensively, they weren't up to the task. But next week, we got some offense, we got some defense, we got it all. The Chargers hosting the New England Patriots. Boy, has Drew Bledsoe been on a tear.
So is Junior Seau. Of course, he always is. That'll come to you from San Diego next Sunday night. Two teams really in the playoff hunt for a wild card spot. And all the Packers will do here is just try to kill the clock.
You know, the way things look like they might be working out, too, as far as the playoffs go, Mike, and a lot of things can happen, I know, in the next 4 weeks. But the New England-San Diego game next week for us could be a prelude to what may wind up later on in the playoffs. Andre Rison in his debut. Rich Brooks just wants to have one more shot at it. Another year with these young guys to bring them along.
And I think he deserves it richly. No pun intended. Under a minute to go.
Keith Jackson was interesting talking to him. Last year, he didn't want to go to Green Bay because he said it's too cold. And then his agent convinced him, Keith, you're only going to play about 5 games in cold temperatures. He says, yeah, well, that's not too bad. I think I can handle that.
15 hours.
That's it.
Packers will have to snap it one more time. And Green Bay, after being in a 9-0 hole and being dominated by the Rams, comes back to win it. Brett Favre and Andre Rison, perhaps the next great combination in Green Bay, one that may lead them to the Super Bowl. Our final score, Green Bay 24, the Rams 9. Coming up next, Dan and Keith with SportsCenter. They'll be following all the wild NFL finishes, a look at the Rockets and the Lakers. For Joe Theismann, Mark Malone, and our entire ESPN crew, this is Mike Patrick. Good night from St. Louis. This has been a presentation